Welcome to 15K Plus Random Movie Reviews, where we randomly pick movies from Metacritic's all-time movie list of over 15,000 movies, covering everything from the best to the very worst, bringing you our genuine impressions and candid opinions, whether we like it or not. Hello and welcome to episode 49 of 15K Plus Random Movie Reviews. This is Colin.
And this is Niall.
And this is random movie number 3705. It's Air from 2023. It runs for 1 hour and 51 minutes. Had a budget of 70 million, brought in 90 million. Has a Metascore of 73, and I used a score of 7.2. Directed by Ben Affleck.
Yup.
Yeah.
Your
and
favorite.
Starring Ben Affleck too in one of the roles as Mr. Knight of Nike Foundation malarkey. And this movie came out there's a whole string of movies that have come out recently just documenting products. You remember that's like whole current trend, like last year, like Tetris,
Supersize Me.
Yeah, but even just the last few years, it's just like 2023, 2022 is a lot of product thing, and Seinfeld's coming out with a Pop-Tarts one soon as well.
What?
Yeah, I don't get it. But hey, it obviously brought in the bucks and people just jumped on the bandwagon.
I guess it's the nostalgia nonsense that's selling.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that bugged me about this movie as well. I'll mention it as we go through it. Summary of this is Air reveals an unbelievable game-changing partnership between a then rookie Michael Jordan and Nike's fledgling basketball division, which revolutionized the world of sports and contemporary culture with the Air Jordan brand. I'll leave it there. There's a couple of other sentences, but that's pretty much the gist of the movie. We start off with Dire Straits intro, kind of formulaic. Did you not think?
Yeah, again, leaning very heavily into the 80s nostalgia thing. And I think, to be honest, that's been done quite a lot recently. And maybe overdone. It feels a bit overdone on this. It feels some of the the music selection in the movie is actually good, but some of the choice scenes or the music to scene selection is wrong in my head. It's just picking it because it's nostalgic, and that's not great.
Yeah, I totally felt the same way. I thought the montage of 80s paraphernalia was just pretentious, for want of a better word. It was like halfway through the movie, for some reason, it just pans between the different 80s gizmos that they have on desks. Like there's a Ghostbusters sticker. There's, what else is there? Somebody in the background is playing a Game Boy.
Yeah.
Other 80s things, but it's like it just felt like, okay, this is the ABC of 80s movies. Let's just show stuff. Let's play 80s songs at weird times, and that'll be great.
I think possibly because Air Jordan itself is a very 80s iconic shoe, so it kind of fits in with that. But I think the choice to make this movie feels a bit like a nostalgia cash grab in my head. Maybe I'm being cynical, but that's how it feels to me.
No, I we must be equally as grumpy then, because I felt the same.
Pretty grumpy.
Yeah, I felt the same. I mean, we both lived through the 80s, so all these things make sense to us and bring back memories, but not in a sort of false, all right, let's just show a whole list of 80s things. And yeah, I wouldn't mind if something is okay, if a Game Boy is going to be part of, they want to show that, but they have it in the background. But I don't know, I wouldn't mind if one of the main characters plays it from time to time, maybe when they're meeting or something. Who gives a shit? I just, make it something. Don't make it unmeaningful.
I agree completely. Like when nostalgia is done correctly, look at something like Stranger Things. Like it really nails nostalgia, and it uses music almost like an extra character, and uses the nostalgia very heavily, but it uses it accurately to develop characters. Here, it's just slapped on like a coat of paint to try and entice people in, and it
neon coat of paint.
Yeah, very plastic, very cheap.
Yeah, and that's Ben Affleck for you. He's plastic, cheap, and two-dimensional.
You love Ben.
His face annoys me, and his directorial choices annoys me. Argo is fine. I give him that.
Argo is a very good movie, but
But there's
the,
substance to that
they're
storyline. Is
very much so.
actually
This is a IKEA flat pack story.
that's the next movie they'll be doing. Fucking IKEA, history of
I think I
IKEA.
might prefer it. It's had more of a cultural impact in my head anyway.
Every house, IKEA. Anyway, the start of this movie, we see Matt Damon. He's a Nike rep, and he basically comes across as a guy that's knowledgeable about basketball, especially college level. He knows his stuff. He's there. He knows everybody as well. But we see Nike as this underlying underdog company because Converse and Adidas are the two basketball player feeder shoes, and Nike don't have anybody literally at this point in time. And yeah, we see him down at the grassroots level talking to coaches and being quite an affable character, quite friendly and quite likable as a character. He doesn't really have a lot of sort of negative aspects to him as a character
his
in the movie.
gross gambling problems. Yeah,
that came in. So yeah, we see him coming home from his trips, and he stops off in Las Vegas, and Knight mentions it later on. Yeah, I just know you stop off in Vegas along the way. But yeah, he wins a bit of money with knowing everything about sports, and then he just loses it all on snake eyes or craps, whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah, he's playing craps.
Yeah.
And he's like, let it roll, let it all roll. Oh, it's gone. Bugger.
Yeah. And so, obviously he's a gambler and it never really comes back in. It's not an issue. It's not a vice that's expanded upon in the movie. It's just that perhaps he took a massive gamble on Michael Jordan. So there's a very sort of concrete link between that sort of element.
You know what? I appreciate that in a character development sort of way, because it explains why he would take such a ridiculous risk. He basically risks his entire career on one move.
Yeah, and it just leads up towards that one big risk. And if it wasn't a true story, it's kind of formulaic Hollywood script, but I guess it's pretty true.
To be honest, this could have been a half-hour documentary, and it might have been interesting.
Well, did you watch So I was going to ask you because I love sneakers. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead. I don't collect Air Jordans though. Basketball, could take it or leave it. So this sort of movie for you, is it actually interesting as a non-basketball fan?
Well, I'm not a sneakerhead. I am not a basketball head. I'm short arse, so basketball annoys me. But no, there was very little, like the basketball references did little for me, other than I knew Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, and I was at the height of it. As to the sneakers, I don't care about Adidas. I don't care about Converse or Nike or any of that, label level crap. I buy, New Balance because they're comfortable.
Shoes.
So this had nothing for me, in terms of interest, I'm afraid.
Well, even as a sneakerhead, there's not a lot of sneakerheadness to it. It's the most exciting bit was when the designer of the shoe was trying to talk at the meeting, and I really wanted him. They shut him down, but I was like, "Oh no, he's talking. He's really connecting the shoe to Michael." So he's But so as a sneakerhead, it's interesting, but it doesn't really get into the nitty gritty of designing it, apart from the few scenes near the end.
I liked the Pete character actually. I have to admit, I kind of liked him and how enthusiastic he was about designing the perfect shoe.
Yeah, for sure. He was ingrained into, and it was sad to see at the end that the shoe designer he died a month before the production of the movie started.
I don't think he would have cared all that much because he hadn't worked for Nike for a long time. He left 3 years after this was set.
Yeah,
because I think Adidas.
Oh, he did he?
Yeah.
Because I think Tinker Hatfield, I think is his name. He designed all the Jordan shoes from then on. He's there's a documentary on him on Netflix.
In fairness, Pete did design the silhouette of Michael Jordan leaping into the air. So
I hope he got paid residuals.
Yeah.
So it's 1984. It comes up. Nike is 17% of the sneaker sales in. I think it's basketball or maybe just in general. I don't know. Either or, they're pretty low on the list.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Chris Tucker as the vice principal of the basketball division, which I was quite impressed by Chris Tucker. If you've only
I
just
was
seen him in,
surprised here.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
This
you've only
is
seen him in Rush Hour, then you're sort of going, he's a squealy guy.
Yeah, you know what? I've liked him in two roles now. This and the Fifth Element. No elephants involved.
No.
Sorry, that's a book title. I always mix them up. And I quite like him in that. And again, he's a squeaky MF in that, but he's quite funny. But every other role I've seen him in, he's kind of annoyed me. He was really good in this.
Yeah, I could see him. I could only say I wrote down like he's barely containing himself in that first scene. He's restrained in the
Bubbling
role.
underneath the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
He actually acts in this. It's amazing.
He does, and he's quite a charming character, quite likable as well. Yeah, so it's basically it's Nike is portrayed at the start as a jogging company. They're massive sales. Uh, he meets up, but they have a meeting then around the table, and Matt Damon's character is quite sort of berating on people not knowing anything about basketball in the basketball division.
Yeah, I would get his frustration in it as well. His problem with the rest of the people around the table is that they were basically just phoning it in and collecting a paycheck, and not trying anything interesting because they don't want to stand out.
Yeah, and so I guess this was quite boring for you, where they just listing basketball players and not knowing any of them. And
Magic Johnson, or I don't know.
Yeah,
That's about it. That's all I got.
Charles Barkley is a very famous Chicago Bulls player as well.
Gnarls Barkley.
Gnarls Barkley, yeah. Charles. I don't know about Merv Turpin. I don't think he actually became a Adidas got him, but I don't think he became a big basketball player. But maybe, hopefully, some people would.
They wasted their money there.
Yeah. So they have this sort of, I don't know, the meeting sucks. Everybody's just not happy and not really full of ideas at all. Jason Bateman's character is sort of trying to geet him up a little bit,
but they're all fat middle-aged men. They all look miserable. Nobody wants to be in a meeting. It is it's depressing.
Yeah. So the toilet scene's kind of good in a way, where Jason's character's doing number twos in the cubicle, and Matt Damon, Sonny is just talking to him, having a conversation, just going, what about Jordan? Let's try and get him. And it's like, we're never going to get him. They've got $250K for 3 names. The whole sort of structure of the entire movie is basically Matt Damon, Sonny going, let's just put all the money on the
Let it ride.
Yeah. So a big gamble. So we get to meet Philip H. Knight, then the shoe dog, played by
your
Affleck.
Friend.
Yeah, he's got a weird beard on him, and he's dead in the eyes, Affleck. He's just dead.
Yeah, it's not a great character in the first place, I don't think. And I don't think it fits well to Affleck, who, quite frankly, I don't see many roles fit him.
You hate him too.
Yeah, he's the worst Batman. Really,
never forgive him.
Shocking Batman. No, he's not great. I think he's a good director. He did Argo, that was quite good. I think some of the moves in this movie actually aren't terrible. I think his music selection's god awful, but some of the other stuff about this movie is quite good. But as an actor, dear God.
Yeah, like in the next scene, it's a formulaic scene of showing 80s brands in the 7-Eleven. It's like, yeah, we get it. It's 84. Oh, look, it's Nesquik.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, that sort of stuff needs to be introduced gently, as something you notice in the background while stuff is happening. And that type of nostalgia is fine. But when it's rammed up your nose, it's awful. It's punched into your face.
I think it might have been made for teenagers and people in their 20s that don't actually know what it was like back then and what was
Possibly.
existing back then. Because for us who knew about it, it's like, yeah, okay, fine, okay. There must have been like 6 or 7 close-up shots of 80s food and drinks in the 7-Eleven. I thought they showed the cashier and he knows he didn't actually know his basketball. He called everything wrong, and then the book ended at the end when Nike has Michael Jordan, and he goes back to the cashier in 7-Eleven, and he obviously goes, "Yeah, I knew Michael Jordan was going to be great."
No, yeah, didn't you, lying fecker?
Yeah, yeah. So at this point, Sonny is at home and he sees Arthur Ashe with his racket, and he's going, "Yeah, I won these opens with this racket made for me with my input," and so that's the whole big turning point or idea, flashbulb idea, going, okay, that's the way it goes, right?
Yep. And meanwhile, he's also watching a video of Jordan
Mm,
on his one of his two TVs. Uh,
yeah,
so it strikes him that as he keeps watching this scene of Jordan making a shot over and over again, he just says, "Okay, this kid is set for greatness, and we have to have him. Screw it
yeah,
all."
yeah.
And his mind
So
is made up.
yeah, so he just saw straight away that Jordan was the key player. There was an MVP player on the team that the opposing team thought they were going to pass to, but they relied on Jordan. They relied on him to make the final shot, and he won the college championship or whatever the hell was going, whatever the hell that championship was. Uh,
Golf. Oh.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so soon enough he gets, and he calls up Falk, Jordan's agent, uh, and we get the inside scoop, or not the inside scoop, but we get straight up that Jordan's an Adidas guy. He loves it, and
Yep. You ain't got a chance, buddy. Basically.
and Sonny wants, get me in the room, man, get me in the room. The guy's name is Adolf. I thought that was funny.
Oh, the guy who just died on the Adidas board. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they were like, "Where's the meeting? Nuremberg." So that was quite funny.
And he's like, no, 10 miles outside Nuremberg. Shut up.
Yeah. So he's like, he's trying. He's cultivating his thought process right here. He's going, all right. I've talked to the agent. I know what the deal is. I need to get involved here somehow. So in the meantime, he goes to the night and he's like going, "No fucking way! You're not just putting all your shit on Jordan." And so we get a sort of a montage of the Adidas and Converse sort of buildings, don't we? At this point, like I have them written down here that I think we saw. Maybe I think we did see some facts come up about Adidas and Converse, or we saw their factories at some point here in
Yeah. It's
this
just
little
it
montage.
flashes up, but doesn't really go into detail.
Yeah,
I think it shows the Adidas board meeting over something. I think.
yeah. And so yeah, he flies to see George Raveling, who was the coach of the Olympic '84 Olympic team and his best man, strangely enough. And he just has, yeah, he's basically saying, yeah, he'll go for anybody except Nike.
It
And
kind of sucks when you're trying to
yeah,
sign him for Nike.
yeah, he has this interesting thing of he has Martin Luther King's speech. He's stood on the side of the stage and still has the speech. And at the end of the movie, we see, yeah, he didn't sell it to anybody.
Yeah, somebody offered him like a couple of million quid for the draft of the speech,
Yeah.
which didn't contain any of the famous lines.
No, no. His rambling sort of, it felt very ad lib, and when I was sitting there watching it, going, "This reminds me of Damon's ad lib story in Saving Private Ryan," because it was fine. It was better than than
It definitely
Ryan's
felt a lot
story.
more natural.
Yeah. But it just felt the same vibe along with just the way it's delivered was quite.
Honestly, it felt like a pub conversation. It was actually quite
Yeah,
good.
yeah. There was no Tom Hanks there to look suitably bemused by your shitty story. So after that conversation, Sonny's like, I'm going down to North Carolina. I'm going to meet Mrs. Jordan here. We get to see very affable dad. all smiles, all very engaging.
This
You
is
can
where my
tell mum's in charge.
this is now Viola Davis, and
Mm.
as soon as she's on screen, she's got impact, and yeah, she's wearing the trousers here. Like Dad's, as you say, affable and lovely, smiley guy, but the mum straight to business, just not cuts into him, but there's no messing around. There's no fanning about. She gets the measure of him pretty quick and
Yeah.
understands where he's coming from.
But like his vibe suits her. I think he's not bullshitting around. He basically goes, "Here's how the meetings will go." And later on in the movie, that's how the meetings go.
Oh,
And
they go
it's
exactly as he
yeah,
describes. The Adidas people, he says, well, just ask him who's in charge. And
yeah,
then four people will argue, and he's not wrong. And then I think the Converse lads just said, oh, yeah, he'll be one of four people. And the mum's like,
yeah.
really? So how does he stand out? And
He'll be with them. He'll be mentioned in the same breath. And
yeah,
then
which
obviously,
doesn't sell it all that well.
yeah. Falk is not happy because Sonny has gone down. So this is like a Lloyd Grossman. This is our Tropic Thunder
I enjoyed
moment.
this scene. It did remind me of Lloyd Grossman very much, which is a great thing. He was a supremely angry agent.
Yeah, very angry. So yeah, but what Sonny did was just not something that anybody does back then or even now. Go straight to the family. So he's not happy. Knight's not happy. And yeah, so he's kind of out on a limb and he's getting a little bit dicey here. He's a bit he's going out on a
Yeah, I
limb at this
think
point.
Mr. Phil, the CEO, being so angry, says basically as he's walking out the door, listen, you get the deal or you lose your job, effectively.
Yeah, and I think this at this point it was like yeah you've got a meeting on Monday or whatever. I think that was
Beaverton. They're coming to Beaverton.
yeah. So then Affleck of Knight is like going yeah I'll tell you my decisions Sunday night. So then after this is where the next 80s montage come, and this is the one I told earlier. Is the office people in the office have Ghostbuster stickers, and
Yeah.
it was just annoying. I thought it was stupid.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, yeah. So then they meet Pete, the shoe guy, and say, "Hey, Jordan's coming. Make us a good shoe."
You got till Monday. It's currently Friday.
Yeah. Do you want form or function? It's like yeah, both. It's like
Pete's like, no,
no.
shut up.
Pete's like he says like 600 years ago they made a different. They didn't made a one design choice, and that was the last one. And that was differentiating the right and the left shoe. So what do you want
Yeah.
from me?
In fairness, they come up with some really good ideas, like taking the penalties of changing it from a white shoe with a bit of red on it to just all red and a bit of black and a tiny bit of white, which was
Yeah,
I think $5,000 a game penalty if Jordan wore them. So they said they'd take that in the chin. That was a great move
that's
because
a
they
good
decided to
move.
use that as a marketing
That's great.
maneuver as well. Genius.
Yeah.
And the shoe
So
does
this
look good, in fairness.
oh,
As
that's the Air
a
Jordan one. Yeah.
non-sneakerhead, I would say it. Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad.
The Air Jordan ones, like when you have them in hand, like I could never wear them. I don't think they're just the high tops are just too chunky for my sort of middle aged life. But like there's like 24, 25 Air Jordans now, 26 maybe in 28, maybe 30. I don't know. It's up there at that area, but they all have their own unique silhouettes, and sometimes they went a little bit out there. I think the Air Jordan 11s are weird looking, and I used to know an Air Jordan, what number it was by looking at it, but I can't remember now. But I know some of them. So like I know that they try to innovate every model that came out. They tried to innovate the shape and the function. And they brought out different colorways where, he broke the backboard of one at a game one time, and they brought out a version just to commemorate that breaking the backboard. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's really interesting when you get into it. What's your? I have a very sort of
You're a shoe nerd, let's be
I'm
honest.
a hunter gatherer type mind thing. When I get into something, I want to know everything about it, and then I collect all the knowledge about each of the versions. Anyway, all the meetings start now. The Converse meeting goes exactly like
Yep.
he predicted. He'd be number 4. We mentioned that Nike would pay for the fines for putting all the red into the sneaker. Yeah, then we see like a 10-second intercutting scene of Knight going for a jog, then jogging back. Like I'm like going, what the hell was that about? And then he mentions it and briefly in a few scenes there going, yeah, I went for a jog. And so let's go with blah blah blah. It's like that
Yeah,
was weird. That was just a weird
that was
scene.
to explain him making the decision. I
Whatever
suppose
that.
because Mister Knight was a running dude who ran all the bloody time, which is great now. But I don't particularly care, and I don't see how it really impacts the movie.
No, it's just a strange, just 10-second stab in there, and it's like I don't know why that happened, and there was no like close up on his face going, yeah, okay, I
Yeah, maybe there wasn't.
understand
They
now.
just cut it because as you said,
Shit.
he's got a crap face.
Yeah. What I found interesting was, and I kind of it sort of vibed up a bit later on in the movie. Rob, Jason Bateman's character, they're having a conversation. Basically, they're staying in Nike factory over the weekend to prepare for the presentation to the Jordans on Monday. So they're staying there with Pete, the sneaker guy, and
Yeah,
this is
yeah. I think
when
the main reason they're staying there because they don't. If they fail, they're out of a
oh yeah,
job.
they're out of a job, and that's the thing that Rob brings up. It's like, listen, I've got a family here. You've made all these cavalier decisions. You don't have family to have this impact on if it doesn't work. And so you see both sides of it. Like, but would Sonny have made these decisions if he had a family? Maybe not. So therefore,
Probably not.
that's they made billions and billions from this decision, and
But
sort of
As Rob says, yeah, while I am kind of annoyed, this is how big things happen. So he's on one side, he's like, you made this call. It's bloody dodgy, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. But also, I think it might be the right call. So yay.
yeah. So, but it's interesting because later on in the movie, he's waiting for the phone call and he's looking around at all the people that have their job that have jobs, and I don't know, they've pictures of their family or something. I don't know what they're doing, but it's he kind of going, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, what have I done?"
he does look rather nervous.
Yeah. So yeah, so the shoe is made. They have this sort of Pulp Fiction moment where
I
we don't
love the
see
scene
the
actually.
shoe.
The
Yeah,
glowing blue light, like the
yeah,
suitcase in Pulp Fiction.
yeah. We don't see the sneaker at this point. It's not.
Yeah,
It's sort of suspense made by Affleck there. It doesn't really work that well, but it's fine. It's okay. So the Adidas meeting is shown as well, and again, it's predicted that they don't know who's in charge. So
yep.
it's another strike for Sonny's predictions. And so yeah, he comes back from his run. And he's like, "Oh yeah, he's let's go for it. Full budget. Let's do it." Why did you make your decision? I went for a run.
Yeah, that's a absolutely terrible line.
Yeah. And another thing is, so they're sitting around planning for the meeting and they say, yeah, Knight, come in late. And when he comes in late, he's terrible. Like to the actual meeting. I hated it.
Yeah, I guess he's supposed to act that way. Maybe the CEO was an awkward sort of chap because it is incredibly awkward.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know if it's acted terribly by Affleck as well. It just was like, ugh. So they're in the meeting. Uh, Chris Tucker again is very good, very familiar with the Jordans. He's quite entertaining and engaging with them. Of course, during the entire movie, you don't see Michael Jordan's face at all, and he's always shot from the back or he's looking away from the camera and never talks either, apart from a little bit on the
Very,
phone
very
at the
end.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, Knight comes in with his late shit, and his face is like when they mention, yeah, we paid a fine every game. It's like, what
He's
the
like,
hell?
What? What?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
video they show sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Rob was terrible with his video creation. It was like a corny music with just shots of Jordan's
Bad choice
college
of
basketball.
music here as well. So it really doesn't fit with, in my head, with the basketball community. It was some sort of
No,
crappy soft rock mush.
yeah, totally out of character, out of sync with reality. So of course Sonny sees that and he's like, cut it off, and then he has
Stop.
a
This is falling
yeah,
flat. And you could look at
yeah,
the Viola Davis. The face is just stony. The dad's
yeah,
like, eh.
yeah.
I know
Yeah. So
Jordan's back of his head is really angry.
So then so Damon just goes on a soliloquy then, his own sort of saving the storyline soliloquy, and yeah, it's good. You're the American story, blah blah blah. Like people will remember you, they don't remember anybody else in this room in the future. That was fine.
True that.
It was okay. Yeah. So then it was they think they've got him after that.
Yeah, there's one line I actually liked in this little speech. Shoe is just a shoe until somebody steps into it.
Yes.
Good move. Like it.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. And then Viola Davis, Mrs. Jordan, echoes that conversation.
Throws it right back in his face for more money.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're in the middle of this and they're waiting. There's a Time After Time Cyndi Lauper song.
Bad choice.
Yeah,
Bad choice.
It's just very boring choice. So Adidas matched off where we find that out. And so Damon's just sitting on his office desk, just looking around, looking at all the people that's going to get fired and released from the department. And then Mrs. Jordan called with her counter
proposal. Yeah. And it's a doozy. Because she accepts, okay, yeah, $250,000. We will have a car. And he's like, okay, you can have a car. And then she says, oh, but wait, there's more. He wants a certain percentage of every sale, which has his name on it, which is a big ask. Like, it's a huge ask, not just $250,000 in licensing, but I want percentage of the profits, I guess. So
yeah, everything that has his name on it.
Yeah. This has Sonny in a bit of a. He's scrambling here to try and dissuade her of that idea, but she sticks to her guns.
Yeah. And so it's a long conversation. I was like, well, this is going on for a very long time.
It did go on for ages.
But she's like she predicted the future. She said it's going to be Jordan promoting NBA, not the other way around. So
she's bang on.
Yeah. So he goes up to Knight and goes, listen, it's over. We're done.
Done, man.
Wants the percentage. He just goes, close the fucking deal. The only way Affleck could deliver it.
The best way. You love him. He's great.
Yeah. So there's another phone call, I think, with Falk, and then
Falk is happy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And yeah,
then Falk actually mocks him here as well, where he says, you do know that neither Converse nor Adidas would have matched any percentage deal, and you probably had the deal anyway. You kind of got played by the mum, and Sonny's like, well, if the mum's right, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And we came up with the Air Jordan shoe name.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't impressed with that.
No. Yeah, earlier on in the movie, he threw it out there, Air Jordan, but Sneaker Guy said it too. So
yeah, it was a throwaway line. In fairness, this was while he was taking him apart for going past him going straight to the parents. Yeah.
So anyway, so obviously we have one more scene with Knight because Affleck wanted just to be, at the end of the movie as well. Sort of has a little, it's done, Sonny's going, thanks Phil. Has a little bit of exposition about the Nike name and swoosh and stuff and blah blah blah. Didn't really.
$35 was the cost of the swoosh design back in 1971.
I think I read the book on. I think I read the book on Nike, but I can't remember it because I just don't remember things. So that's the end of the movie. Nearly, like Damon decides to try to go for a jog and goes
for about 30 seconds. He's like, what's it? He says. He stops after 20 seconds, goes, nah, no way. No. Feels awful. Goes
looks
home.
Looks like it's got the Nike Cortez sneakers on him too. Just want to point that out. Yeah, looks like that silhouette. Yeah, and then it just comes up with a bunch of facts, right? That's the end scene, right? There's no jogging bit, and then it just fades to telling people what happened to people, telling us what happened to people.
Yeah, Air Jordan makes them $4 billion annually. I think still.
No doubt. Yeah,
that's a stupid number. Nike bought out Converse in.
That's right.
2003. Yeah.
Yeah, 2002, something like that.
And MJ, Mr. Jordan, makes 400 million a year from Nike on
Yeah,
the shoe
he's
sales. That
filthy
is
rich.
stupid amount of money.
Yeah, and he keeps it very quiet. He doesn't go do any publicity. Just basically, he quit basketball. He played baseball for a bit, which was weird
He was crap,
because
which is fair enough.
he was rich and just said, "Yeah, let me play basketball for a bit."
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter, does
Yeah,
it? In
no,
fairness, it like most of that. Well, a lot of the money. I'm not going to say most of it. A lot of the money is handled by his mum, who runs a bunch of charities. Which fair
yeah,
play. I suppose
yeah.
there's only so much money you can spend.
True. Like, what are you gonna do with it? You know, it's gonna be lying around, and you die, and then that's it. The Knight dude as well. He $2 billion to charity. I think that said at the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say a lot of that 2 billion came from the Air Jordan stuff.
Yeah, it was an interesting movie in a sense, but it wasn't. It wasn't dramatic. It was low key. It was not really memorable in a sense.
I don't know if you've ever seen Moneyball.
I did.
So
That's more interesting.
way more better, way more interesting. There was proper suspense, there was proper conflict between the characters in Moneyball. Hoffman and
Mm.
dang it, what's
Brit
pretty
Pitt.
Brad Pitt? Sorry, yes, Hoffman and Pitt just rubbing against each other. Wait a second.
You
The
get
conflict
right
between
one.
those guys in
I
a
think
non-sexual way.
No, I think that was Money Balls.
That's
Thank
what
you
I
very
see.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Sorry. See, that was way better dialogue, way more suspense to it.
I mean, it's just a more interesting story. Like, did you
Yeah,
watch the Tetris movie?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Like, that's just more interesting because they have to go to Russia and talk to the Russian programmer and get the rights to it. And there's there's a British company going against them and yada, yada, yada. You know what it ends up as, but it's still interesting and entertaining to get there. It's not the best movie in the world either, but it's a little bit better than this one.
Yeah, this isn't terrible at all.
No,
It's just
no, no.
story's a bit. Well, we all know what happens. I don't particularly care that much.
Yeah.
Is a big problem for me.
Yeah, that's
Maybe if
fine.
I was a sneakerhead or if I was a basketball fan, maybe I'd care a lot more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I gave the plot 2.5. It's bang average.
Exactly what I gave it. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the
that's fine.
best I could give it.
Yeah,
I couldn't find any points anywhere else in that. It plods along, and there's no great reveal. There's no arc to it really. It's very flat.
yeah. I'm guessing that's an Affleck thing. I was looking up the writer. The writer hasn't done anything, so I was interested to see. Okay, where are you coming from? Have you done TV? Have you done anything else? He only has one entry on IMDb, and this is it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's based on a. It was based on a book, wasn't it?
I don't know. Like I did. Yeah, there is. What was he called? The night guy, Shoe Dog. I think there's a biography called Shoe Dog, the Shoe Dog, or something. And I think I read it years ago, and I believe a huge part of that story is this one. So that maybe not. Maybe it's not based on a book,
Yeah,
or else there'd be other authors listed.
it's a real life story that happened. It did break the mold a little bit in that Jordan's percentage of the profit, the profit sharing thing it was quite new. I'm not sure he was the first athlete to get that, but he was definitely one of the first, and he changed the world for athletes to make
Yeah.
stupid amount of money outside of their chosen career.
I think if you're our age and you are American and you love basketball, this movie probably would be better, more
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah, I would imagine so.
Acting, I gave 3. Well, I did have it at 2.75. I gave it the 3 because then I'm reflecting on Jason Bateman's performance, Matt
He's very
Damon,
good,
Viola Davis,
Yep.
Chris Tucker as well. So I give 3 for that.
I had originally at 2.25, mostly knocked down for Ben Affleck, but I changed it this morning when I woke up because
Slept on it.
I slept on it and I thought Chris Tucker was good. I actually thought Matt Damon wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And Viola Davis was excellent. So yeah, 3. I thought there was some reasonable performances in there. And
Yeah,
thankfully, Ben Affleck wasn't in it for all that much. So
yeah. But when he did come on, I was like, oh,
yeah, it did
Jesus
drag down the
Christ.
scene
Yeah.
somewhat.
I was annoyed with the soundtrack. I just felt it didn't make any sense at all. I usually obviously love to hear 80s music. Starting off with Dire Straits is so formulaic and trope. It's money for nothing. What the hell?
Yep.
Yeah, and then
Been
you've
used 1,000 times for
yeah, then
80s.
there's random songs on, and time after time came in when it just wasn't making any sense. I
Not
gave
that
it
it's a
two out
bad
of
song, it just didn't
no,
fit.
it's fine. Yeah, yeah. I gave
Yeah,
it 2 out of 5 just because it's below average and doesn't make a lot of sense during the movie.
I gave it 2.5. Not because they were great choices. It's just that they were good songs. I enjoyed them. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the same songs rearranged in different points in the movie, I think possibly could have had more impact. So I think it was just bad positioning of decent songs.
Good sentence to sum it up. Production, I gave 2.5. I hated the 80s brand placements. I hated the forcing of 80s memorabilia into the storyline. It was so unnatural. Give me some authentic links to the 80s through the main characters, and you've got me. But just showing a just showing a montage of 80s toys and the
Yeah,
scene from Ghostbusters. It's stupid. It's contrived. Yeah, that's
cheap.
the word. It's contrived.
It's you know what it is. It's insulting.
Yes.
I found it insulting. I like a bit of nostalgia from the 80s. I genuinely do, but it has to be subtle. If it's crammed up my face, here you go, have some bloody nostalgia, you fecker. I'm not
Yeah.
going to enjoy that. And that's what this was. It annoyed the shit out of me.
Nice
That
one. So yeah,
that said, I give it 2.5.
yeah,
The
yeah,
rest of the production's actually quite good, but
it's
that
fine. It's fine.
nostalgia nonsense just ground my gears.
Yeah. All right. So Anthony Lane in the New Yorker said very shortly, he gave it 40 out of 100. He says, this movie, in short, kneels at the altar of high capitalism. It's quite a
Yeah, that's
political
about right.
statement. Yeah. And actually, yeah, there's actually Wendy in the Observer UK said there's something, for all its affable charm, there's something slippery and disingenuous about this film, which I think
To,
smacks
to
through in
to
the
that
80s
point, and
memorabilia.
I wrote it down, and I didn't mention it as we were talking, but I should have. The Nike corporate values that they had pop up throughout the
Yeah,
movie
yeah, yeah, yeah.
really made me feel sick. It just no. Why is
He
this being
was
crammed at us? Well, greed is good. It felt like it's just
he was trying Ben Affleck. He was trying to do the Jerry Maguire thing where his
mm,
old boss, remember that? So his
yeah,
old boss would come up throughout the movie and have say his, guidance through it. So that's what he's trying to do.
yeah.
But he's a
No,
dope, so it doesn't work.
it's again feels. It feels like it sullies the movie. It makes me feel dirty watching it.
Yeah. Odie Henderson in the Boston Globe gave it 100 out of 100.
Okay.
As a star-studded and highly fictionalized history lesson, Air is massively entertaining and one of the best films of 2023 so far. It also works as a nostalgia piece for people like me who in their youth lusted after the pricey footwear. So well done, Odie, for enjoying that movie.
He likes having nostalgia crammed in his face.
Yes. All right, so I think that's it. Let's put a slam dunk on Air.
Way.
I just come up with these things in the last second because I'm not organized enough to write them down. All right, this was episode 49. So next episode will be episode 50, which will be our recap of the last 9 movies. So there's no random rolling. I know a lot of people love the anticipation and stress of the random roll, but we'll have that at the end
Everybody
of
loves a
episode
random
50.
number generator.
Apart from Sonny in this one, he just wants to roll double twos, right? Snake eyes.
I no idea.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so we'll see you in episode 50. do us a favor and give us 5 stars on Spotify. We see a lot more followers joining our clan on Spotify. So if you haven't already, just drop us a quick 5 star review. That'll help us get up in the algorithm on the interwebs. Appreciate it very much. All right, so we'll see you in episode 50. Bye bye.
Cheerio.